Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook. Starting with the DXY on the H4. We got this WX. We're in this wave Y. I'm looking for an X2 and then we'll be looking for that Z down. There's a couple of different scenarios here. We're looking for a correction similar size to this over here. So this can turn into like an A, B, C in here. Then you get an A, B, C before we get that Z down. On the H1, we sort of had this, I was looking at a WXY, X2 and a Z down. This X2 become larger, so we just got a WXY down, larger correction, and looking for some sort of a correction in here like I showed on the H4. This is looking corrective in here. So we may get another one down in here before we get one up. I'd be more interested in buying this up here than looking for the sell down here, because this sell here may just come down, break that low, and then shoot up on you. I'll be more interested in looking for that buy, this buy up here. AU on the H4. So we're looking at that WXY, X2, and we got that Z up. If we go down on the H1, we have this extended wave Z, possible extended wave Z. We lost all the bearish divergence on the H4 and on the wave Z. So I'm looking at WXY, X2, and I'm looking for that Z up. We may get a little bit more upside here. Any buy setup or put a buy stop just above this high here, you could look for that, your first target and your second target, that 161.8. EU on the H4. We're looking at that WXY. We're still in this wave Y. We'll be looking for an X2 and then a Z up. But again, when we start looking at the H1, there's possible that we get an extended wave. We're looking at a WXY, X2, and a Z up. We are getting a bullish sort of a setup in here. So if you do get a buy setup, you can look for that buy. You're really only scalping just to break the top. First targeting the 123.6 and the 161.8. GU on the H4. So we're looking at that A, B, C. Hadn't quite got up to that 100 fib yet. We do have all that bearish divergence. On the H1, this one's actually played out and we have got that Z up. We got that WXY, X2, and we're getting this Z up. Again, this is looking rather bullish still. So you could scalp this. You could scalp this flag here. But again, it's really only a scalp. You're really only scalping. You probably be scalping up to that 100 fib, and that's it. NU on the H4, they're all very similar. We lost that bullish the bearish divergence in wave Z. So we got that WXY, X2, we got that Z up, extended wave Z, and we lost all that bearish divergence. So on the H1, we got the Z up. Looking at that WXY, X2, and we got that Z up. Again, this is still looking rather bullish. So you could look for just scalp more upside. You're really only scalping again. Wait for a nice setup before you do scalp. It's very dangerous because we do have all this bearish divergence. So it's not the sort of thing that I would scalp, but you know, you could look for the scalp. look for a trend line break, and then look for a sell. And this is pretty much goes for all the pairs, all the majors. UY on the H4. Excuse me. So we're looking at that WXY, waiting for an X2. We do have a bear hidden here. So we're looking for a Z down. We are getting a bearish setup in here. Which you may be able to get an entry on. You really want a break and a little flag in here to sell. The Swissy on H4. This is pretty much just one way down. So like I said last week, I'm sort of I'm waiting for some sort of a correction in here. Ideally, we get some sort of a nice correction back up to the 50 fib, and then we can look for an A, B, C. It's starting to look bearish already. So this may turn more complex, and we get like an A, B, C. Then we get an A, B, C as some sort of running or expanding flat before we get the larger A, B, C. Sort of how I'm looking at it. So again, you can look for the sell in here. If you get a nice sell set up, you can look for that sell. Just to basically break that low and that low there. And then I'd be looking for the buy. I'll be more interested in looking for this buy because this is going to be a larger impulse than this one down in here. So it's okay if you miss this, but don't miss this one. UCAD on the H4. We've got this WXY. We're looking for an X2 and then a Z down. This X2 isn't quite large enough yet for that Z down. On the H1, it's sort of we got this like WXY. Then we got X2. This one never went and broke the low for wave Z. So we may just have a like a WXY in here. And this is an A wave, and we get a B, and then we get a C for the X2 on the H4, and then we get more downside. So this one may become a little bit more complex. Yeah, so it's really, you can really trade it both ways. But yeah, I'd be waiting for this X2 and then looking for your sell setup for the wave Z. It can be quite choppy in here. If this is an X2 on the H4, this can become very complex and very choppy. GY on the H4. This is not really going to plan. We're looking at that A, B, C up to this 100 pip. The problem is this is very, if I zoom in a little bit, this is very choppy. I mean, it's very choppy. It has completed, but it's broken above the top ending point of wave A. So technically it may be complete. But yeah, I would have liked more upside in it. This is very choppy. Looking at the H1, we got these three down in here. We've got an A, B, C with bullish divergence. But again, you can see how choppy this is. Very difficult to trade. So yeah, really, I'd be staying out of it for now until we get something a little bit clearer. EG on the H4. This is not very going to plan either. We got these 5 down in here. We got a nice impulse up breaking the top. This has become very deep, extremely deep. It may have even broken that low. I'll just have a quick look to see if it has broken that low. It may have even broken that low. It's right on the line. Yeah, so really all we can look at is like an A, a B, and we get a C up. Yeah, look for the buys. You can really only look for the buys. If we have a quick look on H1, we aren't getting any. Yeah, we're not really getting much bullish divergence yet. So I'd be waiting for bullish divergence. Another one down, and then you can draw your trend line and then look for your bullish setup to buy. You really have to wait for this before you start trading this. Yeah. Gold on the H4. So we're looking at that WXY. I'm waiting for a correction of similar size to this over here for the X2, and then I'll be looking for that Z up. This is looking rather bullish on the H1. We got 3 down in here, and we got that bullish divergence. We've broken up. Any buy setup you get, look for the buy to go and break that top. Silver on the H4. This here we got that WXY, X2, and the Z up. We do have that bearish divergence. We did have a bull hidden, I mentioned last week. So this can go up and break that top. If we look at the H1, you can see that we are getting a bullish flag or bullish correction in here. So if you do get a buy set up in here, you can look for it to go and break the top. WTI on the H4. So we're looking at that an A, B, C in the B wave, and then we'll be looking for that C up. On the H1, we're looking for one more down. Looking at a WXY, X2, and we get this Z down. If you do get a little bearish flag in here, you can look for the sell, mainly just for a scalp, and then you'll be looking for any buy setup. You'll be looking for that buy up to the 100 pip. Bitcoin on the H4. So we got that A, B, and we're in this wave C. We don't have any bullish divergence. It hasn't quite got to that 100 pip yet. On the H1, I'm sort of looking at this as a flat. We just broke the low over here. We just broke this low over here. So I'm looking for an A, B, C. You're sort of starting to get a bullish setup in here. I'd be looking for that buy, and it may continue on, and maybe the end of wave C. If I just draw the fib for this to give us the first target. So we're sort of looking for this 100 fib here. If you get a buy set up, look for that buy. first targeting that 100 pip, and if it keeps on going on you, well, you could keep it and would be starting to look at the wave C as being completed. But I do still think this is an A, a B, and we get a C up here before we get a larger A, B, C. SPX on the H4. So I'm looking at that WXY. We're in that wave Y. We'll be looking for that X2 and then a Z up. On the H1, we have got that Z up on the H1. Looking at that WXY, X2 and the Z up. We'll just have to check to see if it has broken the top here. It hasn't quite broken the top. Again, you are getting a, this is looking rather bullish in here. If you go down onto lower time frames, you probably get a WXY, look for that X2 and then trade that Z up on the M15. AU200 on the H4. And this one's kept on going. I'm looking at that A, B, C. We do have all this bearish divergence. It's kept on going past 100 fib. We look on the H1. We can see we're getting a lot of bearish divergence up here. You know, we're getting a lot of bearish divergence. So I'd be drawing a trend line through here. And looking for a sell setup. Any sell setup you get, I'd be waiting for the sell more than the buy. I'm not really interested in the buy up here. You know, we already have that bearish divergence. I'll be looking for an impulse down and a correction or a flag to sell. And it's pretty much the same with all the indices. We're starting to get to the end. If we just have a look at the DAX on the daily, you know, we're in this wave C up. It may become expanding, but we're looking for this larger like A, B, C. Excuse me. On the H4, there's no bearish divergence. On the H1, we are starting to get that bearish divergence. So any sell setup you get, wait for your impulse, look for a sell setup, and don't miss the sell if you get it. The FTSE, very similar. If I just go to the daily. So this one here, we haven't quite got to that 100 fib yet, but I'm looking for an A. All this is B, and I'll be looking for that C down. On the H4, we do have bearish divergence on the H4 on this one. So, you know, any sell setup that you get, don't miss the sell. On the H1, again, we're starting to get even more bearish divergence. Wait for your trend line break and sell setup and look for the sell. So we'll just be looking, you know, wherever this ends, look for your impulse down, a bearish setup, and then don't miss the sell. So I hope you all enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button and share. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.